Hey everybody! I wanted to do a little breakdown of this animation that I did with Procreate Dreams, Procreate and Procreate Dreams. It was a good little combo there. This shot was a really fun and challenging to do. Also, especially the water was also a big challenge, and I had to try several times before I kind of got it the way I wanted it. And also the animation and making the storm look real, because I wanted sort of a realistic look on the whole animation, or at least like naturalistic, like fairly realistic proportions on the guy and the way he moves and stuff, not too cartoony. So let's jump into Procreate first and see how I did the character animation. Okay, so in Procreate here, where I did all the painting of the elements and also a lot of the animation actually, the first thing is to sort of plan the shot. So with this frame here, this is 16 by 9, so that's the aspect ratio, pretty much like your TV usually now, or when you watch stuff on your phone. So in order to have movement with the camera in Procreate Dreams, I had to have the background bigger so that I have some room to move. And the painting and the environment, I painted 8000 by 8000 pixels just to make sure it's big enough. I could then also zoom in, like 4K would be approximately like half of the width here. So this is approximately 4K, so I could still go this tight and still maintain 4K quality in Procreate Dreams. But the main idea is that I start lower with the camera, so the guy is climbing up, and also here is where you see the ocean and the water and the waves, and as you pan up together with him climbing to reveal the monster, we see also less of the sea and the waves and stuff. But then, so that was the basic plan of the shot. So here I have some placeholder monster and placeholder dude, just to kind of get a feel for it. Okay, let's jump into the character animation. So here we have the animation. I could say the rough animation, but it's actually the animation. It's animated on what you call force loop. So 6 frames per second, so it's pretty rough, but I ended up keeping it like that. Also, since it's so dark, the rough sketchy outline here is pretty much how it stayed the whole time. But this is before I colored him and stuff, of course. So it's basically finding the good sort of like the first pose, and then like, okay, he's reaching there, so that was like the second drawing, and then okay, he's holding there, so he has to put the foot somewhere, maybe there, so that's the next drawing, and then you plan for each sort of step he does, and then to find a natural way to in between to get that movement to feel okay. I tried to YouTube references for this, but I ended up just winging it. And his last frames at the end here, that's like here when he's standing like this, that's just, I kept these frames looping over and over again. So as soon as he raises up, he stays within these sort of just hovering animation. And I didn't do his hair here, but I'll get back to that one. Let's move on to the color. So here I have, he's partly solid now, so I got the the outline on one layer, the rough animation, and then as I do the solids here, I make another layer for the solid silhouette, and then just as a background, I of course have the cliff, so that I know where he's climbing, where it's going to be at the end, because this is very zoomed in. We only see the section where he's moving, not the whole shot, not the whole framing. And then on top here, I just have my two colors for now, the black and the blue for the solid. So I actually ended up animating the whole character animation in Procreate. And the big advantage there, of course, is you have the lasso tool, you have liquify, you can flip canvas whenever you want, you have the brushes and the settings, like everything is super familiar if you are familiar with Procreate. So I tend to do a lot of stuff in Procreate, especially the painting part, and also the rough animation sometimes before jumping into Dreams. So it's good to just be able to like jump back and forth like that. So for each frame then, like this one, this would be the next frame, I would pick this blue color, make sure even though it's rough, my outline is solid, so it doesn't have any holes. Do an auto select on the outside like this, then invert, then put that in a new layer, and then just group these two together, make sure they're in the right order, and that's it. So that's what I had to do for each frame. Let's jump over to the color part. So here I have my colors as the part of the background group, just so it's always there. I can easily pick any of the colors of the character, and I also made the background here more consistent to how it's going to look in the end, so that the colors and the value I use is easy to see. So for each frame then, I had the solid, which was this color here, zoop, like that, and then I can just go in, because the layer is alpha locked. I can't paint, on the outside. Then it's easy to just go in and color, still having the outline on the separate layer, and then I can always look like, did I get it at the right spot? Make sure I paint on the right layer there. And I still don't have the hair animation. I'm going to do that. I did that in Procreate Dreams. I'm going to show it there. But here is at least sort of the final character animation with the color, which I then just drag dropped into Procreate Dreams. So let's jump into Procreate Dreams. So here we are in Procreate Dreams, and you see the final animation and with the hair. So I actually I did the animation of the hair, which is just a loop, and you can easily tell that now, right? It's like 4 frames or something, which is enough for this one, because it's the main silhouette. It's not that, like, he has a ponytail and he has a little part of the hair on top that's also waving on the side. So I ended up like the main animation is on like 6 frames per second. So here is 1 second, so these 6-second frames there. But then the hair, that loop is on 12 frames per second, so on 2s, so that all in all it feels more it feels more fluent, because part of him is on 12 frames per second. So that's a way to do it as well, you know. So you can, it's 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. It's the 4-frame loop on the hair. There's one section where I had to do a little special, like here when it's bending down so much, I had to do a little sort of separate unique animation just for that. But other than that, I could use that loop pretty much throughout the whole animation. So that's the main part on the character. Let's jump back and show you how I did the water, or the animation of the water, and we will come back and I will put it all together eventually. Okay, so the water, the ocean. Here are my work files, by the way, in Procreate. So with the water, I've deleted a bunch of water animations because I had a hard time making that work. Because like here you see sort of, this is what I was going for, like a loopable ocean with waves, where I could also have them like one layer close to the camera and then several layers further in towards the horizon, you know, so to do one big animation. But I tried a few times, and then I took it into Dreams, and but it's, yeah, like I said, took a few times before I had the movement and the size and everything that I was happy with. So this one is the final one, and they're actually animated on 24 frames per second. So it's not, you see that little where it's looping, it's not perfect, but once I threw it into Dreams and put noise on it and offset the timing and had like 7 layers with different scales, and then you couldn't really tell. So the chaos was hiding that it's a little weird. But at least this one is also big. Let's see. It's 12,000 pixels wide. So I really had enough space to zoom in, zoom out, do whatever I wanted with this in Dreams. But it's only flat color here. And then for I made one sort of hero wave where it splashes up against the rock. So that was the only unique layer, unique wave. And then for the splashes themselves, I just had these shapes here. So just a bunch of different sprays that I could then animate in Procreate Dreams. And I will show you how I put this all together. So let's jump back into Dreams again. So here we are back in Dreams. So here we have the 2 different waves and the dude climbing, the final animation of him with the hair, and some splashes there on a separate layer. So I'm just gonna put the white on this one. It says gray. I think it looks more white. And also just colored like the water blue, and then sort of important stuff, often red background. I just set it to pink here, just so something different. And with the lightning, it's on different layers here. So it's just soft painted brighter spots, and I think they're also set in they're normal for now, but I think I ended up with like add mode on the blend mode, so when it's lightning, it's, you know, on and off like this. Let's zoom out again. Okay, so the background isn't too important at the moment. Let's put this stuff together and sort of build up the composite here. So we have the dude anim final, and then I have the cliffs back there. So I'm gonna scale to match to get him the right size. Just set the anchor point for this group to be on the tip here. Then I can match up so that the tip of that and the tip of the background in the same place, and then I can scale so it's matching. We're not going to see this outline. So here, now it makes sense. Just going to turn off the splashes for now so it's not popping up on top there. So I'm just going to turn off this here is just the outline then, just to give me the shape of the cliff, so I know, so I can do the placement of him correctly like I just did now. So now he's in the right spot. It doesn't matter that we're really like zoomed out now and elements are small and placed in weird places, because we're going to group everything and then we use that group as the camera. We can zoom in on that group, we can move that group up and down. So that's essentially our camera group in the end, where everything is inside. Okay, so this one, the main wave, or the hero wave, if you will. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not going further in like this, because again, I want to be able to have the most of the width of, like where you see the blue background stops, that's where I want to, I don't want to zoom, you know, if this is too small, I'm gonna see the edges on the sides there. I don't want that, so I'm gonna stick to this as, okay, this is gonna be close enough, and then finding the right position for that wave. And of course, with the cliffs are in several pieces. And I'm gonna make sure that they are, that I sandwich the waves in between. But I'm gonna duplicate the whole group of cliffs because I scaled this one. I scaled the group itself. And then it's good to have the exact same group with the scaling on for each wave. So I'm just going to move this on top here, and we can delete or turn off in this, just to show you now, turning off the other cliff, so it's just the front cliff there. And then I do the opposite here, I turn off that front cliff. So you see that the main wave there is between us. And here you could choose, you know, maybe that you want these cliffs as well to be in front. Like this. Yeah, I think they are definitely foreground cliffs. So somewhere like this is a good placement to have that sort of that hero wave. Just delete empty track. And now we gonna start moving and scaling the big one here. So let's find a good place for like one sort of front wave, not the biggest one, but you know, fairly close. So maybe something like this. And it's always nice to just go closer in with the camera just to see. Okay, they're working together fairly nice. So, and I'm gonna duplicate this big one again to have like one much bigger, very close to the camera. But they're same color, so it's sort of hard to tell. So I'm gonna add a filter, HSB, make it a little darker so it's easier to see. And I can also move, I don't need to have the middle of it, I can just have the start of it like this. So it's a bit different, but I can also move it in time, you know, like you can go in here and move it a little off like this, and then make sure to keep duplicating the looping groups. So now I know that it's sort of a bit off time-wise as well. So that's a nice way to do that. And again, we know that we're gonna be close here, you know, we're gonna be tight like this in case of the width. So it's just about finding the right amount of waves, and they're all just flat now. I'm gonna duplicate this one again to put something behind here as well. So this will be the smaller stuff further in the background. So I'm not going to do every layer now, I'm just going to show you so you get the gist of it. And I think I had, at the moment we have 4 layers, and I think I ended up having 6 or 7 or something. So at least now you get sort of the feeling of scale. And the further back there, let's do a HSB filter on that one as well. So the one furthest back, I also had like pretty close to the background color as well, so that it almost melts into the background, but you can still see it back there. So next thing now is to get the right look on the waves, so they don't look like flat, weird waves. Okay. All right. So to get the right texture and color on the waves, I'm going to show you one of the best tricks in the book. So I'm just going to turn off the front wave there. I'm going to focus on this one at the moment, the closest to us there. So it's very flat and kind of boring. We're going to use noise, the noise filter, to make this look kick-ass. So I'm opening the group here. Here you see each loop. Inside that group, it's all the frames for each loop. But on top of the loop groups, I'm going to add a new track. And I'm going to just tap with my square brush. You get this brush set here for free actually if you buy my Procreate Dreams course on schoolism. So I recommend that. It's my best brushes. I also use them for everything I do in Procreate. Pretty much everything I do. Like these here are fantastic brushes, my best ones, my faves. So with just a solid square, I'm gonna just pick a gray. I'm just gonna tap. So a big solid square. Gonna make sure it lasts for the whole timeline and just scale it out so it's bigger than our wave. And I'm gonna clip mask, go into mask, clip mask. So now it's, you see it's just filling our nice little, filling the waves or following the waves mask wise. And I'm gonna set this into overlay mode, blend mode overlay. So now you see it's It's just making everything a little brighter. No, not really, not doing anything, which is good. We want this. Could be that it would be a little brighter or so, but no. But we're gonna add noise to this one. So at the beginning here, I'm gonna set filter, noise, amount. So we're gonna test out now. So first scale. Okay, how big do we want the noise? And let's see here. I think we're gonna go for the ridges, octaves. Something that looks most like water. This looks pretty good. Amount again. We don't want it to clip like you see here. We just want it to show, and we can add the HSB filter to make it look exactly like we want. The other thing is you can scale this layer now so that it's a bit more wide. It's following better our water surface, you know, so it's not standing like this flat towards us. It's a bit more looks better this way. So at the moment it just looks like this. So it's not really doing what we want. It's not animated yet. It's just the look of it. I'm gonna add HSB filter as well, so that we can go darker on it here and jump back to the noise filter and then push the amount maybe a little, just to crank that look up. And let's see, do we want any turbulence? Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. Back here, we're gonna set a keyframe at the end as well. Here comes the animation part. So we can just set a keyframe, or we can open expand noise. And it's the top 3 here that are interesting animation wise. So let's take this one first. This is the travel. So if you tap it, it says travel. Here you see, if I slide here, you can see that it's sort of doing the watery thing. And I'll show you in a second. I'm just going to long hold on that animation track and set easing to linear. You want that movement to be not, you know, not easing in or easing out, but the same amount of movement throughout. So you see already it looks like water, but it's standing still, right? And you can, like, the more you push this up, the quicker it's going to move. And we don't want it to move too quick, because these are big waves. We want that to be a little slow, a little feel big, you know, be part of that movement. And with the X and the Y here, these two, that's sort of the movement. So it's definitely going to move this way to follow our waves. It's going to need to move more than that. And then also it looks cool if it's moving a little the other way as well. So it's having a little motion. Gonna have to try out what looks good. Something like this. Just gonna test. If you feel like you're on 100 and you feel like it's actually not moving enough, this is too much now. But you can always go back to this one and go negative, or go down from 50 and down. Then you have more range. But something like this. This is how I did it on all the, maybe it's a little too fast on the travel. But you get the gist of it, you know. This is, see how different that looks compared to without anything. Let me just turn off that again. So from this to that. And we can always make it a little dark. You can go darker here on the layer itself, but I also, this is still inside that wave group. We can still put the HSB on that group itself and make that darker and more desaturated, and, you know, make it have that sort of dark look. And if the noise is taking, you know, becoming too much for us, we can always also set a new filter, opacity, and tone that down a little so it's not doing too much. So this is what I did for each of the layers and of the waves, and having them slightly different value, darker towards us and brighter further into the scene. So let's see how it looks with all the waves done. All right, so this is what it looks like now. Done the same to all the waves, and I have 2 waves way back there, and then 1 wave really close to the camera, which is also a little out of focus. I put this little Gaussian blur on it. Could also use the lens blur. That would actually be more correct. Not sure if we'll see much difference on this part there. But that's at least the waves done. And let's move on to the splashes. So we have here an arsenal of splashes. And let's just turn off a few so we can look at one at a time. It's not bad. So I'm going to show you a couple. Maybe it was good, the one we had actually. Yeah, let's start with this one. So usually I just cut it here, edit, split, because then I just grab one like this. Then I know I took one of those, but I still can grab more of it. And let's put it around, maybe under the hero wave there. So it looks like this, and I give it, usually every element that I make in Procreate and that I import to Dreams, I recommend give it a color and a value, because then you can always go in with the HSB slider and you can change the color, and you can make it desaturated if you want, or more saturated, and you can change the brightness. Because if you exported this as a white element, you could not as easily give it color. Then you would have to have another layer on top, which is clip masked, and then you have to adjust this one. So just for the easiness, makes it easier to use it in Dreams if it has a color and a value. Okay, so we're gonna animate this now. I'm animating it with keyframes. So first is sort of I'm just putting it at a random place here. So it's gonna like splash up and come down. So it's trying to find like the timing of it. Like it's gonna splash up and down. Something like that, you know, up and down. 1, 2, 3. So maybe a couple of seconds. We can always adjust this later, but I'm making it last for like 2 seconds now. Up and then down. Yeah. So let's we're gonna give it a few keyframes, starting with one keyframe. By the way, do you know if you have 3 fingers on the timeline and you slide sideways, you scale that way, and if you scale up and down with 3 fingers, you scale it this way. You don't always just have to zoom in and out. You can also like do this. 3 fingers up and down, 3 fingers sideways. Once you get used to it, it's super. All right. So move and scale keyframe in the beginning. So it's going to be under the surface in the beginning. And then here, we can just move it over here. So we can't really see it. It's under the surface. And then we're going to open move and scale. We want to use as few keys as possible. So here a Y key, so that's fine. So at the moment it looks like this. Perfect. Done. No, we need to do something with the easing here. So I'm thinking the X1 can stay linear, like the way it's moving to the right, but with this one it needs to go ease out, and then here ease in. Let's see how that looks. Better. Yep. Just want to move it a little further down in the beginning. It's a little annoying. It's staying up there very long. So it's almost like going up, catching a ride with the bus a few frames and going down again. We could always, let's see here, maybe we don't put it as high. We're gonna have some rotation on it as well. So let's put that in 2. So I just put in 145. Let's see. This is, the easing is always set to the last one you did. So I set it to linear again because the rotation we probably won't. That's a little too much. Okay, we're gonna stick with this. Just find the right timing. So I noodled with this for a long time just to find the correct one, but also just one splash alone doesn't really do the trick. You need to have more. Just gonna grab this one too. Split. Gonna put it close to this one. Maybe this one comes in a little after. It's gonna do a lot of the same thing. Move key, but together I think they will work better. Adding a new key over here, opening up, getting the Y, getting this to ease out and then to ease in, and then we need rotation on this one as well. So now we have a couple of elements that are a little off compared to each other, but they're together. I think they're doing, I'm just moving the second one a little later. staying up a little, but you see the principle behind this. You see how it's done, even though I'm not sort of getting it perfect now. I feel, but if you do another, like, couple of more layers of this for each place, eventually it's going to look brilliant. And then you put this several places, you know. It's probably a little big as well. Just going to scale it down. And once you have enough of this, it will look good. That's at least how I did it. So, little noodling, but you get the gist. That's at least quicker than hand painting dots that are moving over time. But you can always have a few hero drops here and there, you know, that you do. I don't want to do the perform thing now, because it's gonna drive me up the wall if it doesn't work. So okay, you've seen the trick. So let's move to the next part where all of this is done, and we're gonna let's get the monster in here, and then we're gonna do the whole lightning, rain, storm stuff in the end. Okay, cool. So in Procreate here we have the monster, and it's divided into the different limbs of the body, because I puppet him in Dreams. So you see, like, the torso consists of a few different layers, so that I can move them independently on each other. And let me show you how I did the movement of the monster. So I'm just going to jump to Dreams here. So we have the creature, and I've set up, so you have the torso, that's like the top of the hierarchy, and a group on top of that. Of course, we don't need that, but inside that layer here is the part of the torso. So for each little part, I did the perform and had pretty high filtering, and then at the beginning here I just grabbed a little and moved it a little like this, forth and back like that. So it's this little internal movement, like my original. So you see that sort of subtle movements, and then I did that to, you don't have to do it to all elements, but I did it to a couple of them, and then when you do that independently of each other, it becomes this little subtle stuff. So like this, it looks quick now, but when I play back it's really slow, but you get that nice sort of parallax that he consists of more than just one flat layer. And then, so here is his right arm, and make sure the anchor point is at the shoulder, so that when you move the arm, it's moving at the right place. So again here, just slowly doing a little movement of the arm, going like up and down a little like this. and then you move that to down to his, like within this group again, we have his arm or his lower arm. So now his arm is moving a bit. Then you have to do the same, make sure the anchor point is at the correct place. So it's basically a puppet. And again, if you watch my schoolism tutorial, you'll learn more about this, but how to set up this. So here, just gonna do a little more internal. Maybe he's bending his arm a little and out again. So it's just doing these slow movements like this. And I do this for his whole body. So when he's all done, everything is moving. And also you can go to the top, to this one, torso, which is actually everything, because everything is grouped inside. And maybe just gonna see if this is, yeah, so maybe the anchor point maybe here. So at the end I'm also animating the whole creature, you know. At the moment his legs and the internal different parts aren't animated everywhere, but you understand now how I did the whole thing. So you just have to do this for each little part, and then at the end you have this big monster. So my idea with the monster is that he's made up of shipwrecks. So yeah, so all perform on him. So I'm gonna finish him and then put him back into the main scene. All right, so done just a couple of things here. So don't mind this. This is a sort of older file where I put the noise of the waves on top instead. Except for that, everything is the same as I showed you. But I would actually rather switch them in and put them over here. But here are all the splashes, at least. So you see it's a bunch of splashes here. This is like between, you know, back here in front of the big cliff. And I also have a bunch of splashes here, so closer to us. So it's a lot more, get a lot more feel for the splashes now. But you see they're animated in the exact same way as I showed you. Oh, cool. And with the creature, I animated the creature in a separate file. I put them in here now. But the great thing is that you don't have to animate everything in one scene. Like him, I animated in a different scene, and then you just go on to the top group and you just press copy, like on top there. Then I pasted him into this file. So all his movement is here. So we have the splashes, we have the movement of the monster, but we don't want to show him all the time. So my trick here is that I have a background group, and in that background group I have the different lightnings, right? So I make a copy of this background, and I put this over the monster, so now we don't see him or her. Maybe it's a woman, a little girl, and then I clip mask this to the monster. So if I turn off the background now, you see that the background in front of the monster shows as well. So this is how I reveal the lightning. So when I do the lightning now, you see the monster pops out because I'm not turning on. We can delete the lightning from the group on top of him. What's this one? I think that's just a big flash at the end. So with here's the monster, and then back here we have this. And I'm going to put those into add mode, the lightning, so that they make the most of themselves. Just going to turn on all of them. Add. So now you see him well, but these are of course going to be animated. And what I also want to do now, I put everything into one group. So it's basically just, you know, pressing this one, selecting everything, you know, going out here, selecting everything, or I have to redo it now, but selecting everything like this, and then long hold and then press group. But I already did it. It's inside this one, top. So this group here, now we can actually, just gonna make sure that the anchor point is in a smart place. Yeah. So I'm gonna scale this up now so we actually get our framing. Now it's starting to be a little fun. And we're gonna animate the camera. So let's see. We're gonna start with, we want to see down here. And then we want to end up here. And you see that I scaled it up so I have a little space on the sides as well. So I don't see the back color. So I can move a little sideways as well. So with this one, I'm gonna start down here. And I'm gonna do the perform. Here I want less of that sensitivity, want some of that raw movement. And let's just try it out. Sort of little wavy movement, a little back and forth here, and then following him up here. But we have the 20 seconds, we're gonna make the most of it. Okay, let's see, I'm gonna 4-finger tap and just play this back. It's a little rough, the movement, but it's so cool that you can actually do this handheld. You can just live record your movement like this. I'm gonna keep it. You see the principle, and you can just do it over and over again until you're happy with it. Okay, you're gonna open up the big file again. Go down to the background and animate our lightning. So in the beginning here, we want it to go a little time before maybe here or so we get the first sort of lightning, maybe this one. So I'm just gonna pull that into here. We might want to duplicate this several times, but I'm gonna try to do this in a couple of ways here. So let's try to do just perform the opacity on it. So opacity there. Gonna put it all the way down. Gonna start perform. Make sure the filtering is all the way down so it catches all the small movements. And then perform is on. So let's see. That works nicely. So you get that, and then this one, that's a bigger one. I sort of like it when it overlaps a little. We give it a opacity as well. Oops, already had. And just turn off perform as I set the filter down. So you can also just keyframe the opacity filter on these, right? Just do it the manual way, but for perform gives us that sort of raw, organic movement, which is awesome. So now these two together yeah. So it takes a bit more finesse to make it perfect. I'm gonna also drag this out a little. Just gonna split this part here. You could also just copy it, but I'm gonna have a small little blink of this in the beginning there. So you see the timing and all the finesse, everything is, I spent a lot more time on in the final one. So this is more just showing you the principle behind each step. So just to see there that it gives that little, oh, there's something back there. And then of course in the end you have the big ass everything together, and then it fades out again. So I wanted to show the monster. Let me just perform this quickly. Wait, I want to have it at 0 first. And then to fade out. So I'm gonna extend this one as well and go back to performing this a little so it's like this, and then also this one. Keep it down for a long time and then have it be part of that big one before it fades out. So something like this, you know, that you have that, we see him is climbing, then that small reveal of, oh, there's something there. And then the big reveal of the whole monster. And then the lightning stops, so he's like, oh shit, we don't see him anymore. The lightning revealed him, but now we don't see him anymore. So it's a bit like that, oh, is he coming towards us, or him? Is he, yeah. So that was the idea on how I wanted to animate that, you know, the basic timing of that. So we have that in place. So next cool stuff is the rain and the wind, and you know, all the havoc in the air. Okay. So here in Procreate, I have a few elements. So to help us create the storm, especially like the wind and the rain, we need a few cool things. And one of them are these smoke rings. So big rings, 10,000 by 10,000 pixels. So as big as I could get them pretty much. So, and the way to make them, I just made these circles here. Just to give me like a guide, and then new layer, and I use a value and a color. We'll learn that now. So with a nice little brush, for example this one, you just go like this, for example. Doesn't need to be pretty all the way around. And then I smudge usually with a round brush. So just smudging around like this, you know, and you can go in and smudge more, but this is the way that I made them. So different types of rings, you know, different smudgies, and some of them are more smoky, so to say. So we will pull these ones in. And then for the rain element, I have a few animations here that are looping. And these are super easy to make. I will show you. So I have a few of them here. Yeah, this one, the last one. So just to show you, this will be how to make a rain brush as well. So I usually go for like 4x4, almost to the top there. Make your background black, make your color white, and then you can basically use any brush. Just make a spot in the middle. Then I Gaussian blur that. You could sort of use the airbrush as well, but I want this to be sort of the perfect, not grainy or anything. But I still want that 100% in the middle, something like this. And then I use the good old rectangle to like erase the sides. I just have that thin line left. This is your brush shape. So you can take 3 finger down, copy all, and then we can just turn this off. We're gonna make a new brush now. So I'm just pressing the plus in the top right corner there. Go into shape, edit, and then import. Then you can just paste. We got our magic drop. Press done. And whenever you make a brush, if you looked at my Procreate course on Schoolism, you know that you have to do this in the beginning. Yeah, I show you how to make a bunch of brushes there. So now they can become really big. The maximum size can be really big, which is nice. And a lot of the other magic is go to the top here, stroke path, and then the jitter. You want these drops to spread out. Something like this. And at the moment, if I press done now, we have our, I need to make a new layer. We have our rain brush. It's working pretty well. But since this is a storm, this would be like a perfect calm rain brush. But we want the stormy rain brush. So I would, another little thing as well, go into dynamics and do the size jitter. So there are different sizes. You could also adjust the opacity a little if you want, but I would, yeah, not that important, maybe a little. But under shape here, go to the scatter. And you see that it very quickly becomes too much. So keep it maybe under 4 or 5%. Then done. So now we have a good rainy brush. Storm, rain. And the way I make these animations is that I start out the animation assist, and I would probably go a little bigger. This is 4K, 4000 by 4000 pixels, or close to that. And that's probably enough, but if you go a little bigger, you can zoom in, but it's also rain. We're not going to see that much of it. Okay, add frame, and then you paint over. I'm going to turn off the onion skin. And then you try to kind of, let me start over. It's easier to see it from scratch. So you do one swipe with the brush, and then you add the frame, and you try to do the same movement, so you get approximately the same spread and the same amount of raindrops. And then you just do this for however many frames you want in your loop, but make sure it's more than 3. So something like this. This is enough. This works. And you can angle this in Dreams as well and scale it up. And you can also, if you think the droplets are too short, you can just select all the layers here. Like you make one active and then you just swipe to the right on the rest of them. And then you can stretch this out. And then you get longer drops. And this is pretty like close-up rain, right? So if you want further away, you have to paint smaller. So these are pretty much the elements. You have your rain and your big rings. So let's jump back into Dreams, and we're gonna pull these other ones in here, make some havoc. So let me just show you how I pull the rain into Dreams. So this is our scene. I'm gonna move Procreate over here. I already pulled in the mist rings. We can delete the splashes now. And so I'm just drag dropping this in like that. Let's maybe drag in all of these. Rain heavy. And also the sideways one. So because they are in animation assist, Procreate gets that. They're gonna pull it in the correct way. So we will need to put these on separate tracks. Just gonna keep these two down here for now. So this is one group. I'm just gonna move it over here. These has our quick frames there. So chaotic rain, but it only has these few frames. So you could do a couple of things. We could use multi-select to just select all of these, and then just gonna drag them out a little and copy, go to the next frame here and paste. And we can go here to the next frame, paste. So this is a fairly quick way. I'm just gonna, these are on ones. So I just want to see, I'm just gonna pull this group out, and we're gonna pull out, now they're on ones, so each frame lasts for 1 frame, each drawing lasts for 1 frame. If you do multi-select again, I'm gonna pull out on the side here, but I put 1 extra finger on the screen. Now I can drag them out so they all last for 2 frames. Just gonna see how that looks. It's a little choppy, actually. let's keep it like that for now. So we could keep on multi-select, copy, make sure you go to that next frame, paste, next frame, paste. So this is, we could also duplicate this group now, of course, but so now we have a bunch of frames, so you could of course just duplicate this, duplicate, and then regroup. But I want to keep as few groups as possible, as few. So with this one, I'm gonna just do it the sort of little long time-consuming way. But we are close. Okay. So now we have rain in the whole scene, at least one part here. So how big is it? It's a little bigger. That's cool. The other thing we miss here, what I didn't do, like I mentioned before, give it a color, give it a value. So for this one, I'm gonna add a new, because this is white rain and we want it to be part of that blue, like the scene is. So I'm gonna use my kick-ass square brush again, and I'm gonna just pick the color of the background. And I'm gonna tap. And it's important now, oops, one more tap. It's important to kind of keep it the same size as the rain itself. Can be a little hard to see, but, or at least a little bigger. Then we make it last for the length of the shot, and we go clip mask. So now it blends nicely into the scene. So now we can call it, just give this a color. Just gonna give it green, just so nothing else has the green color, so it's easy to see. Rain 1. So for this rain, it's nice to have, I'm gonna go in and put it on top of the group here. And we're gonna see, you see now it's scaled, it was put into a group that already has scale value, so we need to scale it up again. And I also want to flip it this way, so the rain comes in from the top left side. And we can also give it the HSB, so we can have it a little more showing there if you want. And this is one layer, you know, like I'm just gonna check that it's big enough. So at the end here, yeah, it's gonna pop out a little. So I'm just scaling it up a little so that we see throughout the scene that it is working. And with this one too, we can just, you know, duplicate it a few times, so the next part is a little smaller, little like this, maybe even angle it even more, so that you just put layers of this, and you put it, we can also like duplicate this one again, and put one behind the cliffs. Can be nice. So let's go all the way to maybe here, and then move this a little. compared to the others. So then you get some rain, several layers of rain. And so that's the rain. So I put in several types here, and you can just imagine that we also did the same with this one and this one. But I'm gonna cheat a little for the sake of the length of this tutorial. I'm gonna duplicate this one too, so we get one not on top, but here, one, big ass. And this can be almost like sideways. So we have like one that's really close to the camera, maybe a little darker, like that. So that's the rain, you know. And then if you triple the amount of layers now with rain, then you see that it's going to be cool. It's going to work. And now over to the rings. The rings are the coolest thing in this tutorial. All right, we have the rain, we have the storm, or not the storm. These are the storm rings. So I sort of already revealed the coolness of this, but I'm just gonna duplicate that, grab one of these. So shall we have it in the group or over the group? Doesn't really matter. We can have it above. Let's keep it above. It can also be inside. Doesn't really matter. Or actually it needs to be inside because of the small camera movement. So let's see, the anchor point is in the center. So if I rotate, it works well. So at the beginning here, we can just scale up. So this is also so cool with Dreams, is that you have that insane big playground. And I'm gonna keep it about here, give it a keyframe. And then over here, gonna rotate it this way and make sure that all easing is linear. So at the moment, it moves too slow. So rotate, let's try 800. Now we're talking. And the cool thing about doing it this way is that it's also, the loop is perfect, right? It's a circle. You don't have to worry that you run out, that it's like one long thing moving, for example. So it's, yeah, it's pretty cool, eh? So we only need to make sure that it has the right color. So it's a little too green, just to sort of make it look like the rest here. That's better. And already with that one layer, it works a lot better. Want to duplicate the same, like this is one of the rings I feel works the best because it has these holes in it as well. So I'm gonna make one even a little bigger. I'm gonna move it over here so it's also some moving a different. Also, first of all, I'm gonna start in a different place rotation wise, and it's not gonna rotate 800 but maybe 400. So one is moving faster than the other, one is moving slower, and also maybe the one in front there, we can make it a little darker actually. And you can also like put down the opacity on these, of course. That's pretty cool already. Just gonna see how it looks on 200, just to have some of that sort of slower movement. Already works. And you see here, you know, isn't this insane? That's a 4K frame. Looks like the size of my nail, and then you have this big ass wheels of havoc. So maybe it's nice to also give them a little opacity so they don't totally close up what's going on. And of course you can put more in here. It's also nice with, let's see here, if you go into drawing mode, it's easier to see what's happening outside the canvas. So let's see, this is like this one. That's also a nice ring. Just turn off onion skin. It's on by default in the new scene. This is also a good one. The last one, yeah, it's just the circle. I'm gonna go for this one. Maybe put that here. Make it big. Actually want this further back there, maybe behind the cliffs. So together with the rain far away there. So maybe the size is good as it is. You can also put that HSB filter and then crank it up, so while you do the animation of it, it's easier to see the movement, that it's not moving too little or too much, or that it's doing what you want it to do. It's very slow, but I kind of like it a little. But let's say 300. Yeah, I like the movement, but we cannot have it totally white here. Can also make it darker. But yeah, so this is the way to make storm. And I use that for snow as well. Revealing all my secrets. No, but if you want all my secrets, you have to take my Procreate courses. I have 3 courses on Schoolism, and they are all very fully packed, and yeah, you will learn a lot. I share everything. Okay, so let's go up to the top. So last thing now is sort of the top magic, the little grain and grit and stuff on top here. So let's finish this off. All right, so some magic on top here. I want to have a vignette, and the way I make that is by a couple of items. So first thing, we want a darker and colored square. So we still have the square brush like that. maybe just make it a little bigger. This one isn't gonna move, so it's okay that it's just a little bigger than our canvas. And then in another track, I go for also brighter, but still with color. So we have the option to use HSB to adjust color and value and everything. So, and then I go with the grainy, nice airbrush, and I'm gonna paint so it's brightest in the center and then it fades off. And I'm doing it in a few different brush strokes. And I want it to be 100% opacity in the center, and then to fade out. So because it's grain here, you don't get too much of that banding issue either. But also with everything that's going to go on in the scene, it's going to be fine. So we have these two layers now. We want to group them. So multi-select, draw through both, and then we have this group. We can call this, just going to give it purple, call it vignette. That's the Norwegian way to write it. Actually, not sure if I know how to write vignette in English. It's probably not even an English word. Okay. Back to here. So we set this into blend mode overlay. And gonna use a couple of HSB here. So you see everything became very blue. It's already blue. We put blue on top of it. So I'm just gonna make sure take out big part of that saturation, and I don't want to go any darker on the side, and I'm going to do the same HSB on the center as well. Turn down that what's it called again? The saturation. So maybe something like this. And we can also make that center bigger, so the vignette is a little wider. But I think it's, it definitely changes you get more focus on the center of the screen. And when you see it like this now, you don't really think about it. I think it works better. Yeah. So, but the nice thing about doing a vignette like this is that you can adjust the dark parts, you can adjust the bright parts. Yeah, so that's how I set up my vignettes. And as the last little trick up my sleeve for this one, of course I have plenty more, but then you have to watch my courses. So again, with the square on a little gray, little dark. I don't want to have any color on this. I'm gonna add some grain. So I just make a square. I don't want to scale it out. It needs to be square so that the noise is also square. So make it last for the duration. I also want this to be on overlay mode. And then we add some noise. And you see what noise does. It can make it super bright as well. So we might have to counter this with some HSB. And I want that noise to be not at its smallest, but also not at the biggest. So something like this. I want to try to make it feel a bit more like film grain rather than noise. So let's go to the end, expand noise, go to travel again, and make that to 100. Let's just see, make sure easing is linear. Yeah, that's cool. I think I'm just gonna go push this down again so we get maximum travel. And for this one, I want to have HSB, like I said, just to get that correct value. You can turn it on and off to see that this looks pretty good. And I want to set opacity, because I don't want this much noise. I just want a little. This is maybe not considered a little either, but you know, just to give it some more grit. It's going to help with that sort of storm and, you know, make it look old, and yeah. So there you have it. That's it. It's not exact similar as the final render I did, but it's all the same workflow to get there. And you know all the tricks now. So go make your own kick-ass stormy, rainy scene. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye. Hey everybody, do you want to really master Procreate and Procreate Dreams? Check out my complete courses on schoolism.com. In the Procreate course, I'll teach you everything from beginner stuff to the most advanced, like getting familiar with the interface and tailor your own setup, how to create your own brushes, everything from perspective and how to use the awesome perspective tool, how to sketch and render characters in different ways, how to paint cinematic environments, and how to animate from simple stuff to a fully rendered walk cycle. In painting in Procreate and animating in LumaFusion, I teach you how to do my most detailed paintings. From the first rough thumbnail sketches to the high detailed finished painting. And I also teach you how to use LumaFusion, the best editing app in my view. In Procreate Dreams, I will teach you everything this powerful animation tool has to offer, and how I combine Procreate and Procreate Dreams. We start with getting familiar with the interface and all its hidden features. How to animate frame by frame, with keyframes and perform, and how to combine those techniques. How to rig a character and do lip sync. How to animate camera moves like parallax and handheld. How to make a scene look fully 3D or make a beautiful underwater scene. Create and animate effects like water, rain, snow, fire, smoke, sparks and more. And you also get my best brush set for free. These courses contain over 30 years of knowledge, and they're perfect for beginners to pros. See you at schoolism.com.